It's 19 hours GMT. Hello, good evening to you. Welcome. It's NEWS360 live on news up here at the Sawa in Conduct. My name is Alfred Akanse.
And I'm Natalie Forte. Look at the top stories this evening.
Headlines is brought to you by Deluxipate,
GT Bank,
and Calipo.
NDC and MPP trade accusations over perpetrators of the violence at the Baudeshi police station in the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election.
Former Maslock boss accused of causing financial loss to the state.
A man of a Sikado traditional area, Nanakobrankechia, the fifth, expresses disappointment over lack of information on the Sekendi Takrade kidnappings, which he says is contributing to insecurity among residents.
Ahead in business, Ghana secured $866 million as returns on oil revenue invested since its commercial production, according to the latest reports on petroleum funds released by the Bank of Ghana.
And on the international front, at least 8 people killed in the U.S. as a result of the Arctic weather. Bring you details of these and more tonight here on News 360. Let's get into the issue for today. And our first story this evening, the National Democratic Congress, NDC, has questioned the deployment of hooded security men in the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election. Voting turned bloody and chaotic in some parts of the constituency after hooded security men assaulted some members of the opposition NDC. Here's a report by Komla Kluche.
Is so wrong on every score, but no matter how long it takes, we will fight. This is so wrong.
Samuel George Nete, visibly seen distraught, challenging the hooded security.
I want to apologize for this, but you still have you on News 360. I'm going to go for this quick break. We will be back with the news. Stay with us. Welcome back to News 360. We sincerely apologize for the technical hitch, but I mean, it reflects the events of the day, isn't it? A lot of skirmishes here and there that distorts what was supposed to be a very, fair and free process. So we apologize. But let's go back to our earlier story. The National Democratic Congress has questioned the deployment of hooded security men in the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election. Voting turned bloody and chaotic in some parts of the constituency after hooded security men assaulted some members of the opposition NDC. Here's a report by Komla Kluche.
So wrong on every score, but no matter how long it takes, we will fight. This is so wrong.
Samuel George Nete, visibly seen distraught, challenging the hooded security men at the polling station.
What? At what? Beginning of 2020.
These attacks and others, according to the NDC, necessitated its withdrawal from the Ayawaso West Wogon polls. Visibly angry supporters converged at the headquarters to be addressed by their leaders. The national executives of the party were clear in their demand.
We are sending a clear signal to the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces and the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, that the democracy we have all fought is under siege. Today is a very sad day for democracy, and the NDC as a party cannot and will not be part of this exercise.
The NDC says it will not be cowed in the face of such attacks.
2 hours into the election, this is happening to our people. Then we could not guarantee what will happen when elections is over by 5 o'clock and counting is being done, and then we are moving into the dark. We felt that this seat is not more important than any single life that will be lost.
For the party, government should take full responsibility of the chaos. Minutes after the news conference, other angry supporters of the party stormed the conference room. Komla Kunche, TV3 News, Accra.
We are calling on
Meanwhile, the New Patriotic Party says the opposition National Democratic Congress orchestrated the shooting at Laobao in Accra that temporarily led to the disruption of voting at a polling station in the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election. According to the Communications Director, Yao Boabing Asamoah, the NDC plotted the incident with the view to discredit the credibility of the Electoral Commission and the results of the by-election.
Some heavily armed men in masks alleged to be operatives of the national security stormed the residence of the NDC parliamentary candidate behind the Laobao Presbyterian Basic 1 school polling station in the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency, where they allegedly fired some gunshots. 6 people have been confirmed injured and are currently receiving medical attention at the Legon Hospital. Addressing the media, the NPP Communications Director, Yao Boabing Asamoah, discredited claims that the assailants were national security operatives.
Because of the suspicious activity in the area and the sudden influx of strangers, people in the area were naturally worried what was happening. We have gleaned that the security forces, when attempting to investigate the issues, were fired upon. They were fired upon. And so there were counter shots.
He said the NDC is on a deliberate mission to discredit the election in every possible way.
The condemnation is because, unfortunately, it appears to be a premeditated attempt to create an impression of violence and thereby discredit the ongoing election and prepare minds, probably for what purposes we can't tell, but the electorate's minds to negatively perceive what is going on.
Yao Boabing Asamoah condemned the shooting incident and called for calm.
We call on all the security agencies, the leadership of the security agencies on the ground, to come up and demonstrate that they are in charge.
Let's still stay on this issue. What we can tell you that counting is still underway at the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency. We'll be updating you on that. But concerning what's happened over the last 17 hours, the National Commission for Civic Education, that's NCC, has added its voice to debate on the stance of Ghana's democracy in the face of the by-election shootings today. According to the NCC, the country's democracy is under threat. It says in a statement signed by its Deputy Chairman, Samuel Asare Ekwama, that it is actually appalled by the development and that both the NDC and the NPP must respect the rights of voters. That's a clear commitment they've made there. But let's go on to the telephone lines now and speak with the chairperson of the NCC, Madam Josephine Nkrumah, for some clarity on what they've issued. I thank you very much, Madam, for your time this evening. How appalled are you about the incidents daughter the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election today?
For the Commission, we cannot express enough our repulsion of the events that occurred today at Ayawaso Wogon. And we must reiterate that this cannot be this is not acceptable for a democracy that is 26 years. One by-election, we are held to ransom by 2 political parties. It's unacceptable. I think more importantly, we need to understand that any electoral violence compromises the electoral process. The violence that we are experiencing during by-elections slows the elections process. Citizenry lose trust in the process, they become apathetic to the process, and ultimately, as a country, we as citizens suffer for it. But we need to move beyond this, and as we have consistently said as a commission, we need to stamp out vigilantism.
You see, and that's the point, Madam, if you permit me, with all due respect, that I'm going to come in here. You have been very consistent about party vigilantism and calling on the parties to disband these vigilante groups. Clearly, what's happened today, it's a clear and blatant disregard for that particular position that you have. So beyond the statement that you've issued in the past, what have you done to ensure that these parties actually do what they're expected to do?
Well, as you have rightly said, we have consistently expressed our displeasure at this, and we haven't been sitting idle. We have had a wide stakeholder engagement. We have engaged the leadership of Parliament. We have engaged the Chief Justice. We've engaged the two political parties. We've engaged the smaller parties without representation in Parliament. We've engaged TUC. We've engaged academia. We've engaged the Chief Imam, the Christian Council of Ghana, and the IGP and his team. We've engaged the National Security Coordinator. All of these are key stakeholders to finding a lasting resolution to this. We need to interrogate what is festering this kind of canker that we're witnessing in our democratic culture and find ways of addressing it, short-term, medium-term, and long-term measures.
Right.
So as we speak now, we are still carrying out our own stakeholder engagement. At the end of it, we'll present a report to the President and to all stakeholders and call a national summit to address this with the National Peace Council as well.
All right.
But let me state that for political parties who are central to democracy in this country, it's important for us to begin, or for all of us to appreciate that they have to be strengthened, or they must understand that they are the part of the building blocks of democracy. And I think it has largely occurred, this violence that we see repeating itself time and again, I think it's largely occurred because our democracy is too dependent on an electoral process. It seems the beginning and end of democracy for us is hinged on elections as an activity of part of a democracy. When we begin to understand that it goes beyond that, we need to strengthen institutions to work so that we would have adequate participation of the citizenry.
On this,
then we would have true democracy.
I agree perfectly on this, but and especially the NCC has also been called to task to do a little more than this, especially when we have just about 23 months to this major election in 2020. It's a great concern there. Let's just stay on this, Natalie.
Certainly, Alfred. Now, earlier in the day, some persons were shot and injured at the Labaoleshi Presby Primary School by some masked men whose identities are yet to be known. The voting process was halted for about 10 minutes. Presiding officer Seth Clifford Dodu Amponsa denied claims that the shooting incident was linked to the election. Evelyn Tingma was there and reports.
Voting began at exactly 7 a.m. at the Labaoleshi Presby Primary School, which had a total of 2,815 registered voters. The process was smooth, with just a challenge of voters' ID cards.
We realized that during 2012 we had a registration process, and some happened to use what we call the NHIS cards to register. Later on, court ruled that those cards should be rejected, and those people should be made to re-register. Some, I don't know how they took it, for one reason or the other, they didn't go through the process. And so they come here and you realize that they have these same cards, and so their names have been excluded from the main register. In this situation, you are not allowed to cast your ballot.
A few minutes after 9, vehicles numbering about 9, some of them police cars with policemen and some other men, majority of them in masks, arrived.
Get the mask off your face. Why are the police not putting on masks? Because they are professionals.
Later, it emerged the masked men had shot and wounded a number of people at the residence of the NDC candidates for the by-election, the Lali Brempong.
Here is not a police station. However, you can say we are doing something, or that's why you come in. We are in PC house. Then you came in. Some people inside a pickup. You came, no, everybody calm down, calm down. Everybody sleep down. Then started shooting, giving one shot, back, 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 back. Then one guy stand there, the wound in leg, break into pieces. One guy in here, shot. The other guy, too, they use arm, hit in head. Why? Democracy. Is that a democracy country?
Because they are looking for the MP. And they are going and that's the
saying the woman dear. Yes, you have 2020. So all that we die. Say all that we die. And you didn't witness no. If the people are real, if they are truly real, amen. Why do they cover their face? Why are they covering their face? Anybody who covers his face and when they get, I'm coming. Anybody who wears a gun, anybody who wears a gun and cover his face is a criminal. We know criminals that cover their face, and they are working with the policemen.
There were also gunshots at the school park where the voting exercise was taking place. The development disrupted the voting process, but the exercise resumed after 10 minutes.
It's not that it affected us so much because it has nothing actually to do with the election process that was going on. It was an incident that was happening from outside. And then you happen to see that because we have a very large field here, they see that the police and the security personnel decided to park their vehicles here. Parking their vehicles here would definitely attract a lot of people from outside and a whole lot of attention. And so we halted the process.
The incident attracted beefing up of police personnel and also men from the military. The police, led by Operations Commander for Greater Accra, Superintendent Kwesifori, visited the NDC candidates' home. NDC National Chairman Samuel Ofusu Ampofo also arrived.
By-election has been turned into a war zone. We are peaceful, loving people, and we are law-abiding party. We cannot subject any of our members to danger because of elections. We have the support of our parliamentary candidate who thinks that his own life is not safe and cannot even move out of his house. If the parliamentary candidate cannot move out of his house, then we see no reason why anybody at all should kill himself because of this by-election. The NDC has officially withdrawn from the by-election.
The party withdrew their polling agents from the 4 polling centers. A number of persons from both the NDC and MPP also came to the scene.
It is wrong for the national chairman to announce or to tell his people to opt out of this. I think this decision should have been taken by their national council.
What's worrying about this is that the Director of Operations of the Ghana Police Service, DCOP Alex Mensah, has indicated that indeed they're investigating who are these persons who were in the marks really are to establish their identity. But let's go on back to the constituency, the Coalition Center, that's the University of Ghana, where my colleague Saloma Minya is.
And this is where the results will be collated. And as we speak, I can tell you that counting has ended at the various polling centers. What is left now is the electoral officers coming in to submit their statement of poll, or what we call the pink sheets, other documents, and also the ballot boxes where the results are being collated up here on the spreadsheet of the Electoral Commission. And generally, the election was calm and everything went smoothly, apart from a few hitches that happened in the morning. And I can tell you that right after those incidents that happened, and also the National Democratic Congress, that is the NDC, announcing that it has boycotted the elections, its polling agents withdrew, and everything went smoothly. Over here, coalition is ongoing, and we have in here the candidate for the MPP, Madam Lydia Seyiram Al-Hassan. She happens to be here together with the communications minister, that is Esla Owusu. We also have some party executives of the MPP here, but the NDC is nowhere to be found. We can also not find the PPP candidate. But I have here Manuel Sawyer. He happens to be part of the campaign team for the MPP inside the constituency. Manuel Sawyer, tell me, how do you see this election?
In terms of the results, I think the MPP has prosecuted a very admirable campaign, and in spite of what we foresee will be a low turnout compared to what we saw 2 years ago, I think that we will do a decent job and we'll make a good showing. I want to leave. I don't want to preempt the EC. I'll leave the final announcement to them. But I think we're nearly there.
Yes, many have raised concerns about the incident happened. Was this the kind of security you were expecting?
Well, I think that first and foremost we have to commend the security agencies, the Ghana Police Service and the allied agencies for making their presence felt in the constituency and making a good showing, keeping the peace, etc. I do not want us to overblow one isolated off-polling station incident that occurred in the morning. I think that when the police complete their job of looking comprehensively into the matter, we will get to know exactly what transpired. So for now, I prefer to focus on the positives of the election rather than dwell on that one isolated incident. You have to remember that we have over 100 polling stations in this constituency. And by and large, the people of this constituency have conducted themselves with decency and decorum and have made an impressive showing for the entire country to see. And so for me, let us commend them for that showing, rather than highlight what, for me, we don't know too much about at this stage. And yeah, let's focus on the positive.
Yeah, so that is Manuel Sawyer. He happens to be part of the campaign team for the MPP in the constituency, and he is virtually saying that we should not highlight the incident that happened, but we should leave it to the security agencies, even as they've said that they are going to investigate that particular incident that occurred. But I can tell you that we have 137 polling stations, and all those results will be collated tonight. So we're going to stay here and ensure that as and when the results come in, we are going to keep viewers updated. As you can see, the spreadsheet of the Electoral Commission, they keep updating it as and when. And voter turnout, as we normally experience when it comes to by-elections and such elections, is quite on the low. But we have John Bwedu here, and we are getting ready to speak to him. John Bwedu is joining us live on TV3. On TV3, where have you, Mr. John Bwedu? Mr. John Bwedu, what is your first impression about the elections?
I think that overall the election was peaceful, but for the unfortunate incident that happened outside a polling station, I believe strongly that the security agencies and all parties involved, but for the NDC, will have had the most successful elections ever.
Yes, but your party keeps emphasizing outside the polling station. Does it mean that when people are hurt, people are maimed, we shouldn't be concerned about because it happened outside the polling station?
Concerned for all reasons. But we are looking at an election. We are looking at events that will disallow somebody from exercising his or her franchise. You understand? And we have 137 polling stations. So you can't use an innocuous event that happened outside a polling station to decide to boycott an election. I can see from the results that are coming in that the NDC knew they were going to lose massively. And in order to avoid a shame, they orchestrated to have a reason to boycott. Because if the NDC are the same NDC we know, they didn't boycott Etiwa by-elections. They didn't boycott Chirpone by-elections. They didn't boycott Akwetia by-elections. So what has changed, really? What has changed? You can see clearly that they started. Aren't you surprised the NDC accusing Electoral Commission of a bloated register? Aren't you surprised? The NDC, even when they were campaigning, had sent the dates for the election to court. Even this, when they decided to withdraw, they still had their polling agents in most of the polling stations, to the extent that as late as 4 p.m. Anabisu was at Legon polling station campaigning, and they went door to door to bring their people to vote. So this is the result of all the noise they've been making. It clearly tells you that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is on course. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is doing what the people of this country want. Look, but for students on vacation, you will have seen tsunami happening here.
All right, thank you very much. So that was General Secretary of the LPP, John Boadu, telling us that this is evident that the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is on course and he is really working. So from the Central Cafeteria here at Legon, Selo Mamenya for TV3 News.
Fantastic. Selo Mamenya, my colleague there at the Coalition Center for this particular constituency. He is there till the last ballot is counted. So stay with us here on TV3 and our affiliate stations as we update you on the happenings there. On MTN Video Report, our citizen journalist Benedict Lobiri reports on some trees which have been cut down at the Laura area in the Upper West region.
This is an activity that is ongoing in Tolere under the Lara district in the Upper West region. This is the work of some unknown people from somewhere who are cutting down all the economic trees in the area. They cut down each tree and pay the owner just 10 Ghana cedis. And as you can see, the area is becoming a desert. And this must not continue. We are pleading with the Ghana Forestry Commission and the government to come to our aid to stop this menace. Reporting from Tolere in the Lara district, Upper West, Benedict Konyuri.
You can also send your video report via WhatsApp number 055-1433-044. Up next is Business News.
Let's get into the business segment this evening. As former chief executive of the Microfinance and Small Loan Center, Maslock, Sedina Tamaklo, has been dragged to the Accra High Court for allegedly causing financial loss of more than 129 million cedis to the state. Also facing the law is the former operations manager, Daniel Exim. The two have been charged with 80 counts of stealing, willfully causing financial loss to the state, money laundering, conspiracy, contravention of the Public Procurement Act, among other charges. The accused are expected to make an appearance before the Criminal Division of the Accra High Court on February 4 to answer to the charges. According to the Attorney General, the accused persons embezzled various sums that were repayment of loans that people took from Maslock between November 2013 and January 2017. The two on many occasions withdrew funds from Maslock that were more than those approved by the board of Maslock, contravening procurement laws in the purchase of certain vehicles for Maslock. Well, a lot more on that particular development. Subsequently, let's turn to some other business stories this evening as Ghana secured $866 million as returns on oil revenue invested since its commercial production. That's according to the latest reports on petroleum funds released by the Bank of Ghana. Now, the Heritage Fund, which was set up to support the country's future generations when the oil reserves are also depleted, contributed $485 million.
The report showed that as at the end of December last year, Ghana's share of oil revenue, which has been invested in government-backed securities outside the country, stood at $866 million. The stabilization levy contributed $381 million to the total investment returns. The stabilization levy was set up so that part of oil revenue secured is put into this fund that government can fall on to cushion consumers if petroleum prices go up significantly. However, the data showed some $206 million had been withdrawn from the fund, but checks with the annual petroleum fund gave some explanation. The Petroleum Revenue Management Act allows for withdrawals from the Ghana Stabilization Fund to support shortfalls in the ABFA and also allows the Minister of Finance to set up a cap on the Ghana Stabilization Fund and withdraw the excess over the cap for contingency and debt repayment. Total petroleum receipts, that is proceeds from liftings and other petroleum receipts, as at December 2018 was $964 million.
That's it for the business segment on News360 this evening. A lot more business news on our website. It's 3news.com. Stay with us.
Right, so it's time to bring you some news from the world of entertainment. Lifestyle Today takes a look at the return of an old-fashioned trend, fascinators, which traces its roots to the Western world as a headpiece has eventually grown popular across the world.
Black jersey on the beat.
Can't promise. The headpiece that became popular in the 1990s in the Western countries has grown popular across different countries. A bit of history. In the 18th and 19th century, a fascinator was an oblong head covering made of silk, lace, or net, according to the Fashion Dictionary, and is mostly known to be worn by the English royal family.
Ever since she came out, I never felt this way before.
A fascinator is a hat-like fashion which is attached to either a headband or a clip on top of the head. The English formal look is making its appearance once again in fashion world in the form of fascinator hats. Modern-day fascinators are commonly made with feathers, flowers, or beads and are mostly seen at big weddings.
What else?
Since the wedding scene is all about bold looks, it's really no surprise that fascinators are back on the heads of fashionable Ghanaian women. A fascinator can be an amalgamation of feathers, lace, and intricate design. It is seen as a work of art instead of a piece to warm your head. Fascinators are a great way to accentuate an outfit. It is the new fashion trend in Ghana now. But are we rocking it well?
Well, that's about it for entertainment news tonight. There's more on 3news.com. And Miriam Osei-Ajman. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Miriam. Just a quick reminder that it's been quite a challenge coming to you tonight. But the great thing is that we are absolutely confident of what's going to be happening in the coming hours. That our colleague Selma Menya, who is stationed at the Coalition Center, the Central Cafeteria of the University of Ghana, will be bringing you up to speed with everything that's happening there. He'll be there until the last ballot is counted. So stay with us here on TV3, on 3FM 92.7, on 95.1, Connect FM 97.1 in Takrady, and 3news.com, and TV3 Ghana on Facebook. My name is Alfred Okanse.
And I'm Natalie Fort. You can also get more on the by-election on our website. It's 3news.com. Thanks so much for watching and have a great evening.